Hello, everyone, and welcome to Your Mind, Your Reality, Your Results, a weekly live show where I talk to experts in the matter of mindset so you can change your own mindset and get the amazing results that you want. If you haven't met me before, my name is Leah Fink. I'm the owner and founder of All Thrive, where we help protect people from the pain of damaged relationships. I'm always open to connecting, and today I am super happy to be inviting a truly lovely guest, Kerry George. Welcome to the show.
Hello, great to be here.
Awesome. So we super encourage participation. If you have any questions for Kerry, definitely take advantage of having her here to be able to ask those. If you want to make any comments, we love them. Even if you're not watching this live, watching it after the fact, feel free to leave those questions and comments and we can get back to you with this wealth of knowledge in front of me. So to start out, Kerry, would you like to tell the viewers a little bit about who you are and how you got to be an expert in networking?
Yeah, I love that you're calling your program something about changing your mindset. That's awesome because that is so important in business and it's so important in life actually to get ahead. And it's something I've done a lot of. So my business is CIBN Connect is the name of my business. We are a networking organization primarily. We do networking and masterminds, and we bring people, business owners, entrepreneurs, and sales professionals together so they can get warm leads and referrals through the networking part of our business and create these great collaborative relationships where they feed each other ongoing warmed up leads. And then we also have the mastermind component to CIBN Connect, where business owners join our mastermind program, the Excalibur Club, and they come in like the Knights of the Round Table, flying in on their horses from all over the realm, from their personal kingdoms, to talk about the challenges that they're having in business and how to overcome them, and the great, awesome idea they had and how to flesh it out. And they work through those kinds of things, creating systems in their business and building accountability groups amongst themselves and just getting stuff done. So we have a lot of fun and we get stuff done. And that's the main thing with CIBN Connect. And you can find that, of course, at thecibn.com.
Yes. And as always, we will make sure to have all the contact information and everything in the comments at the end. So if you're looking to talk to Kerry, I certainly recommend reaching out. And so my own journey, I mean, I'll be quite upfront. I'm with CIBN. I've been waiting to have Kerry on my show for a while because I love endorsing things that have really worked for me. And I went last summer on my own exploration of different networking groups, and I found there's, as probably other people have, there's so many options out there. There's so many different ways to network. There's so many structures of programs and, live versus online in the world that hopefully we're moving towards. And there was a couple things I really liked about CIBN, and that was what I was hoping Kerry would share today about what really makes networking, efficient and effective and useful, not just a great way to meet people and say hi and have interesting conversations. So, Kerry, what would you say is a good place for people to start when they're looking at their networking?
Well, I have often said if you're not making $150,000 a year from your networking, and you might not like what I'm about to say, but if you're not doing $150,000 in revenue from networking alone, you're doing it wrong. Because it can be done, and I don't care what your industry is. Okay, I don't, and I'm not saying I don't care. I'm saying I just don't. It does not matter what your industry is. I have met people from every industry imaginable that have made 150,000 or more from their networking annually. Okay. So to say that it won't work for me because blah, 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 blah. Yeah, well, I can introduce you to a competitor who is making it work. Okay. So what are they doing differently? Like, what are they doing why can't I be doing it? Right. And that's what we love to address at the CIBN is that, what is it that the successful networkers are doing that those that are struggling with it aren't seeing? Like, what are they missing, right? And there's quite a lot, and we've got a lot that goes into the training and stuff. But I'll give you three points today that anyone can take and apply right now and start networking more effectively. If you actually, apply these things, it will make a huge difference. So I think one of the first things that I see happening out there is people go from one networking meeting to another. And, if it's live meetings, they're gathering cards. They're not doing anything with those cards. It's gathering and gathering and gathering. Okay, they're not getting through the next step of follow-up, of booking an appointment. And really, for most business owners, professionals, sales professionals, or entrepreneurs, it comes down to appointments booked, or butts in seats, or people crossing the threshold of the door of your business and coming in, right? So how do you get that thing to happen, where the thing happens, where they buy from you, right?
Totally.
And really, usually it comes down to a meeting. There's got to be some kind of meeting. You got to get eyeballs on what you're talking about, right? So how do you do this? One of my things that I tell people all the time is book a meeting from the meeting. Point number one, if you're out networking and you don't actually book a meeting from your meeting, you wasted your meeting. You're right. Networking doesn't work for you. Go home and suck your thumb. Okay. It's the end of it. But if you book the meeting from the meeting, it's not the end of it. Okay. That now means that it's led to something else where you are now actually in front of somebody, hopefully giving your presentation of whatever it is that you do and making your offer. So that will never happen if you don't book a meeting from the meeting. So and I have people, they're like, well, I got all these cards and I'll call them all tomorrow. Okay. Good luck with that. Nobody's home tomorrow. Okay. And more we find as we make phone calls, what happens? Make a bunch of calls, nobody's picking up, right? So you're in the networking meeting. They were there for the purpose of networking, and you were there for the purpose of networking. So just ask for the meeting right now. And if I was in a live meeting, I actually would have a pack of stickies in one pocket, and I'd be collecting cards, because some of them are hard to write on because they're very fancy, pretty cards, and you can't actually make your ink go on them. So I would actually take a little sticky and stick it to it, and I would book the appointment right there and say, they'd say what they do, I'd say what I do. Say, great, I think we should talk more. How's Tuesday for you? They're like, everyone's got their phone now, so they pull it out and go, oh, Tuesday's actually good for me. Okay, great. Well, let's do this. Let's book it right now. I've actually booked 32 meetings from one meeting, and that'll fill up your calendar pretty good, right? But even if you do three a week. And by the way, you can do this in live, you can do this in online. At our CIBN Connect online meetings, we make time for it so that everybody, members and guests, get meetings booked on the spot, because who has time for tomorrow?
No, that's a great point, and definitely a benefit of online, that it's even easier than ever to put up a calendar link and say, book with me right now, figure out that time. And, what would you say to people that are like, well, that's great, Kerry, but you're a networker. That's your job, to meet 32 people a meeting. 32 people in a meeting aren't going to be my ideal client.
Are they? That's a good point. Actually, there are people who say that's not going to be my ideal client. Or I've heard this one. There's nobody at your networking meeting who is good enough for us. That's what it sounds like. They'll say, there's nobody at your networking meeting who's in my class, the client. I only work with people who do $1 million a year, or $5 million a year, or have 10 employees or 100 employees. And that's not at your networking meeting. Okay. Actually, at our networking meetings, at all networking meetings, there are the people who do business with those people. And they're not giving them to you with that kind of attitude, ever. Okay. Because in networking, it's all about, they want to get to know, like, and trust you before they would give you their best client. And if that caliber of client is what you need, that is really their best client. They're not giving them to you if you're like going, well, you're not good enough for me because you don't have this or that. Like, get to know them. You don't know who they know. And I once had a very high-end oil and gas executive got very angry with me after a networking meeting because he was seated beside a Tupperware lady. He did not know that her husband was actually a CEO of a high-level company. I never told him either after that response.
Why would you?
Know what I'm saying? Like, how could I anyway? He blew her off, and he didn't give her a chance, And I just thought, like, people just, networking isn't about who's in the meeting. Never is. It's about who is in the meeting, who knows the person that you need to know. So you have to treat people respectfully, and you gotta get to know them and let them get to know you in order for that to happen. And that's what makes real networking work. So you can't be all judgy like that. You got to be like open-minded and ready to talk to people and find out who do they know, and let them see the best side of you, because nobody likes that, right?
So speaking of knowing people, because this is another thing I've heard a lot, is, do you think it's possible to know someone as well through an online meeting?
I love that you asked that question, because my point number 2 in how to optimize your networking is doing online versus live. Okay. And when we started doing online, that was the big question. And by the way, we didn't just start because of the pandemic. We started in 2019 after 2 years of research and building an online portal to support them with the educational factor, the training that they would need to build a business as they get when they become a member in our online portal. So we had done all this work, and we're launching this group in May 2019. And we had our regular members who were doing the live meetings all the time. They're like, I don't think people are going to get to know each other. And just kind of suspicious about this online thing. And, and I get it because, we were used to doing it belly to belly and handing out cards and shaking hands and kissing babies and being right there, right? I get it. It's kind of like politicking, right? And so we were thinking like, well, how could this be possible? So we ran our first test case in May of 2019, and we got people to join us from around the province of Alberta. And one of the first things that happened was my mom, who's a network marketer with Vox Socks, made several thousands of dollars over the first few months selling socks that are like $40 a pair. I'm like, if you can sell $40 a pair of socks to people who don't know you, this probably is a good thing. And then the next thing you knew, the mortgage broker landed a deal through the group. And then there was another thing that just like it happens through live. And so we were tracking the results of this, and we realized, this is working. It's working just fine. Because when you talk and you do, in fact, there are advantages. And in fact, I would tell you that if you are still wanting to go back to live, you're missing the boat. Huge. Because it's only your emotions that would want that. And that's an emotional decision is not a good business decision. Because I'll tell you why. In online, it's a quarter of the time, a quarter of the cost. And now we have determined it is twice the profit. 2 times more money being made on average. Some more than that. Some 3 and 4 times more. Why? Well, let's talk about time, first of all. When you do live networking, you got to get in your car. Leah, you live in Calgary. The meeting is never next door to your house, is it? No, it is at least 30 minutes usually driving over there, and maybe 45. Okay. All the way over there. Then you find parking, and you pay for parking, and you go through all the stress of the driving and the parking, and you go into the meeting and get yourself together, and you go in there. And now there's a few minutes usually before the meeting starts where you try to start having conversations that are continually interrupted by others because of the activity that goes on in the room and live networking. Then we get into the meeting. CIBN meetings were always 1 hour, but our competitors usually was an hour and a half. Okay. So that's that time. And then afterwards, there's the kibitzing, the talking, I get your card, you get my card, I'll call you later. That kind of stuff is all going on, right? And then after all of that, maybe you're on the volunteer committee, and most of these groups have volunteer committees, and that's because it's a lot of work to put these on, and someone's got to do the work. And you look like a good worker to me, so sign up and do my thing and do my work. So that's how they get you to join, and you become their professional volunteer agent, where you give away hours and hours of your time there as well. So over a week, you're lucky if you get off for 3 hours. Most networking events that you went to one time, it's going to be 4 hours plus an hour on the phone the next day, booking the follow-up appointments. That's a lot of your life that you are never getting back ever again. Okay. So if you're the kind of person who likes to get things done, I don't know why you would go back to me and go back to that. I don't know what emotion could be strong enough to drive you to want to go back to that. Because in online networking, you're working at your office, type. Look at the time. Oh, 1 minute before it's time to network. Where's my link? Click. I'm in the meeting. Bam. There you go. I'm in the meeting, I do my infomercial, I watch the presentation while I'm in the meeting. If it's a CIBN meeting, I'm booking meetings from the meeting. And maybe you didn't do 32, but maybe you got 3 or 4 or 5 booked right there in the meeting. The meeting is over and it is done and you're out of there on the hour. That is awesome. That is effective networking. And then let's talk about cost. Average networking to go do that live costs a lot of money. Why? Because restaurants don't want to give their food away for free. Okay. And hotels don't want to give away their space for free. So you either got to buy food or you got to rent the room, one or the other. That's how networking has been done for years. So your costs are $2,500 to $4,000 a year, and most of it's going to food that's highly salted and sugared and not good for you. Okay, so that's your cost. The organization that runs this also has costs. My food costs, when I was running CIBN in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, in one city, and we were expanding into 3 at the time, my costs were $180,000 a year for food. Yeah, Rael used to say that Kerry gives away more food than the food bank. And I gave away a lot. Don't know if it was more than the food bank, but it was a lot. So here's their cost factor is so much different. It's 4 or 5 times what it costs for online networking. To belong to a good online networking group where you have additional perks like learning tools and things like that, ours is only $59 a month versus it was $700 up front and $150 a month for a basic bottom level entry program when we were doing it live. So less cost, way less time. And as I mentioned before, I think because we're doing the booking the meeting from the meeting thing and people are really getting into that, I think that's what's causing the accelerated profit level of 2 to 3, sometimes 4 times more money coming in from the networking versus what it was with live networking. And I know I still, Leah, I still have members who say, well, I just want to go back to live. Sometimes it's even a business coach that says that. And I'm like, are you a business coach? Really? A quarter of the cost, a quarter of the time, and twice the profit. I thought you guys did math. It's really, really effective and efficient networking, and you really get things done.
Awesome. And I can totally empathize with those people that like being in person. And at the same time, I'm completely with you because there is just a speed and efficiency that you can, and right after a networking meeting, you could have another meeting, a one-on-one that starts 1 minute after. And it's so quick. And I'm just wondering too, as people are going in, because I think a lot of people, if they've been entrepreneurial for a while, they're getting comfortable. They're pretty good with asking for a one-on-one meeting, maybe not as efficient, but they've asked for that meeting. What would you recommend for when people are in that meeting? Now they're in the one-on-one. They've taken the time to commit to talk to this person. How do they make sure that they're actually getting a little something from that, not just, once again, getting to know someone in a general sense?
That's a great question. And I didn't even give you my 3 points. It goes right into the third point. So my first point in optimizing your networking was book a meeting from the meeting, always, or you didn't have one. Number 2, online is better than live, believe it or not. And number 3 is going deeper in the one-on-one. So I love that you asked that question because this is, again, where a lot of people get a big F for fail in their networking experiences. Okay, so they will meet with somebody. They'll actually go through the first steps. They'll go to the meeting. They get on the phone after, usually book the one-on-one. They get the one-on-one. Now they're all eager and they're excited and they're going to do their one-on-one. I'm going to tell them all about my business. They're going to buy my stuff. And then they don't buy. The audacity. How awful that is that they don't buy. How would they not buy from me? Don't they know how awesome I am? Don't they know how great my product is? If you've ever struggled with that, I feel you, because I feel it too. Sometimes I'm like, they don't buy from the great Kerry George either on the first time, usually. Yeah. You're not alone. Okay. And a lot of people stop the networking process there and they go, that didn't work. Okay. People only do business with people they know, like, and trust. It takes 7 to 14 touches to get someone to really get to know you and start to trust you. The reason we walk into 7-Eleven and buy a Coca-Cola is because they have bombarded us with their marketing 100,000 or a million times from the time we were born till now. The 7 touches are long since passed. We don't even have to think about it. We just go like a robot and buy the Coca-Cola and put it on the counter. Okay. But when I go to meet Leah Fink for the first time, if I've never seen her before, she's not Coca-Cola. She's beautiful, but she's not Coca-Cola. I don't have that same relationship with her as I do with Coca-Cola that I always had when I was feeling down when I was young. Right?
Yeah.
Or I always had at a party, So I don't have those relationship yet. 7 to 14 touches is what it takes. So how do we go deeper, faster? And there's a few things that you can do. First of all, we actually teach a follow-up sequence at CIBN after you've been to meetings to include things like, connecting with people on LinkedIn and Facebook, but also posting things there so that they're seeing it, because there's no point in connecting on LinkedIn if you go there yourself once a year. Right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's that. There's the follow-up process where things are automated and they get that touch. That's part of it. But in that one-on-one appointment we just had, if this person looks like someone who would bring you business, either themselves personally, or they may potentially be a collaborator, someone who has the same target market, but they sell a completely different product line. If let's say you had that meeting and we liked each other, first of all, say Leah and I, we met, because that's an important thing. Say like
Totally.
we met, we're having our one-on-one and we liked each other. This is good. This is nice. This is fun. I like her. I'd like to do more stuff with her. Okay. Then book another meeting. What? Won't you think that's pushy? Well, if she was out networking, she should actually assume that you'd want to. But go ahead and book another meeting. And what would I talk about? Well, again, the first time you got together, you generally talked about things like, this is my business. This is what I do. This is the kind of person that I'm looking for. And although I'm sure you felt like you got a lot done, that's pretty shallow. Right? And even if you went to the next meeting where you booked a one-on-one and appointment where you actually just did your presentation, again, that's only 2 touches, still pretty shallow. How do you get further? How about you book a meeting where you don't do anything in the meeting except talk about what your personal why is, what your vision is, and you ask them the questions like that about their business. That's deeper. Gets a lot deeper, a lot faster when you start talking about that kind of stuff. And then they may be more willing to open up. And then you might want to ask for a very specific referral and tell them what you're going to do with that referral. Be open. Say, I'm going to call this person. I'm going to say these things. This is who I'm looking for. Can you refer me to this person? And if you're really smart, you'll show up with a referral for them. When you're asking, you say, and I brought one here for you. This is so-and-so. And I believe based on the things that you told me in our first meeting that this would be a very good introduction for you. Or this is somebody who told me that they needed your service. And here's their contact information, phone number and email address. And I've already texted them to tell them that you're going to be contacting them. That's how you give a referral. Okay. I meet these people all the time. Well, I don't want to give anybody a referral because I haven't told them yet. Why didn't you tell them yet? Hello? If you're out networking, why wouldn't you tell them? I'm coming to the same networking meeting every week with Leah, and I have somebody that would be a great referral for her, which I do, by the way, I have to tell you later.
Excellent.
If I have somebody that would be a great referral, then I've already told that person that Leah's going to be contacting them. And I've also told them, Leah's really, really busy. So make sure that you get down to business with her right away. And I'm going to really highly recommend that she takes time out of her busy schedule to talk to you, because that's a great referral. When I give a referral like that, the customer is like, oh, I better do this right away. There's some urgency and they're ready to move forward. They want to hear, they're waiting with bated breath with what will Leah share with me next? Because Kerry said such nice things about her and she told me how busy you are. And I just so much appreciate you took the time to be there with me today. Isn't that a different kind of referral than well, here's my brother-in-law. I don't know if he's interested or not. Why don't you call him and find out? What the heck is that? Who does that?
Yeah. And the poor brother-in-law.
Yeah, the brother-in-law gets a call. He goes, hey, this is Joe. I do roofing. Brother-in-law's like, I just bought a house last week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's generally how networking is done. It's done badly. And that's why people are like, this doesn't work. It absolutely works. When I was brand new in business, I didn't start out by owning a networking organization. I had a marketing company and I had to get clients. So I drove an hour one way from a small town to a large city to be in a networking meeting every week to get clients. I met people who own businesses and I got them to know, like, and trust me. And I was mentored too by somebody who knew what they were doing. It's another really great point of joining an organization instead of trying to wing it on your own. But I was very fortunate. I was mentored. And as I learned how to do this, I very quickly began to earn real revenue, $70,000 in one meeting where there was only a handful of people. It was one of my first early experiences with networking. $70,000 in annual income earned in one morning. Yep.
Pretty darn good.
Hmm?
That's pretty darn good.
It's a great story. You can read it on our website in the blog at thecibn.com. So, yeah.
So I had one more thought, and this might be something that's either self-limiting for people as they're approaching potential network collaborators, referrers, but also for people who are hesitant to maybe get into networking. So, some networking groups really focus on, well, we only have one of this person. We have one person in finance. We have one person who's in realty. I have a friend here. And there's kind of an assuredness in there's only that one person. Whereas, in our network, we're really open, and I might meet 5 finance people, 5 people in that world. And I'm thinking to myself, if they're maybe not having is it a clear ask, or how do I really help 5 people from my network? How do I know those, or how, if I was that finance person, would I communicate who was a good client,
this is
right?
Like a mixed up question, but I get where you're coming from, because this is a challenge we had for years. When we were doing live networking, we had one person per industry in every club, and that was kind of like the going thing, and everybody did it that way. So we did it that way. As we were doing it that way, one of my early mentors said, I don't believe that. He was a real estate agent, actually. And he didn't run his meetings like that. He let other real estate agents attend. And he said, that's never hindered me. I've always written lots of business. Don't care that there are 10 other realtors in the room. And, you talk about your mindset really being the important factor. Well, he had the mindset that it didn't matter. So it didn't matter. And he wrote lots of business. And the realtors that walked in and saw him and other realtors there, they were like, there's too many real estate agents in here. None of us can get any business. This was a total waste of my time. And of course, their mindset set the expectations and what happened for them. And that is exactly how it worked for them. And they felt like, I have to be in a group where there's only myself and nobody can compete with me, so that I get all the business in this group. And today we still have groups that want to run that way. And we're now really discouraging that, because we found out something. It's wrong. It doesn't actually work like that. And we've stumbled onto something. We have had meetings where we've got 5 or more insurance guys in a group in the live meetings, and they all made money. What the heck? How could that be possible? Okay, so let's go back to, like, how could this be? Okay, well, in the one person per industry rule, okay, certain expectations were set. It's really hard to also get new people to join the groups, because you had to train the members to think of, well, we need an accountant. Everyone is looking, we need an accountant. We're all looking. It was a huge expectation on members to be bringing people all the time. And there's a lot of rules in our competitors' businesses on this kind of nature. You must bring people. You must show up on time. You must do this. Okay, CIBN has none of that, because we don't need it. It's not necessary. You can all make money without all that malarkey. Okay, so what you need to do in an online networking group, there's a continuous flow of new guests all the time. So many new guests. It's just I always say it's Mama Bear throwing meat down in front of the cubs. Just come and eat. Okay. There's lots of new guests coming in all the time to book one-on-ones with. And if your business is based on one-on-one businesses, there's lots of it to be had there. Just like that, just getting to one-on-ones. Then there's the members become loyal to the other members, and they'll only do business with members generally. They might actually have an appointment with a life insurance agent that is not a member, but they tend to, I'm not going to buy from this one. I know so-and-so does the same thing. I'm going to have an appointment with him now, see if he can do this thing for me, and I'm going to buy from him. That's how member-based businesses and organizations work. Don't get mad at us. It's worked like that since the Middle Ages. It just works that way, right? Yeah. But in that group and the online, there's such a continuous flow of new people, and there's members coming in from all over the place, and there's lots of business to be had, and everybody's looking out for each other. And even though I might use, another insurance person as my personal insurance guy because he's part of the network and been with us for a while, if you join the network, I feel obligated to try and help you. So when a new person comes in, I point them out to you. When somebody came last week and there wasn't an insurance person there, I said, hey, you need to meet so-and-so who's new in the group, right? So we all do this. And we just affirm that, so-and-so is a great guy to do business with. And even though I might not personally do business with that guy, I would say, he's really personable person. He gets things done. He's the kind of person you'd want to have running your finance, your investments. So there's so many ways we can help each other. We can write great Google reviews for each other. We can share each other's stuff on social media, and the list goes on and on and on. And we actually do have those lists in CIBN Connect, and we share with you how to do this for each other. But the main important point is it just doesn't matter anymore. You can have, and we've seen it actually, especially with the insurance agents. We don't have multiples, by the way, of most other industries. And I think in online, and I think it's because they've been busy with stuff with COVID, and they haven't really realized how much business there is there for them. Like I would like to see 25 new realtors this month join, just bam, because I have a way you can feed each other. Come talk to me. Coaches too. We started showing our coaches how they could feed off of each other. And it became a feeding frenzy that was great for everyone. So we've learned how to take that competitive edge and turn it into a collaboration edge. And we got a really, really good way of doing that within the online networking realm. And it doesn't matter what you do, we can find you business.
Amazing. Well, like I said, I certainly believe strongly in it because I've seen the benefits myself from learning some of these pieces through online networking. I know that CIBN offers a bit of a gift if people want to come check it out. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. Well, we have a membership actually where you can sign up for a 15-day trial for $1. So Leah, you have the link for that. You can post that afterwards. Yeah. And when you sign up, be sure to tell us that you saw us on Leah Fink's program. We do reward our members who bring more members, so be sure to say that. And we always ask every new member where they come from. So by all means. Now in the 15-day trial, it's $1 actually for the first 15 days. And then it charges you $59 USD. And it does every month after that. And so I will say this, yes, you can come. You can test drive the network for 2 weeks, and we'll put you in our little Lamborghini model and let you drive around for 2 weeks for $1, no problem. I just have one word of caution. Please don't call me or email me on the weekend of the 15th day and say, I want to quit before I pay my $15, okay? Please, are you a business owner? Please be real, okay? Nobody's sitting there manning it on that day. So you got to give us 72 hours warning at least if you're planning to be a quitter. Okay. But I would recommend don't be a quitter. Just don't do it. Be a winner. Be somebody who's in. Get in and then do the $1 so you can say I'm a member, because the other members will ask you if you're a member. So use that for the 2 weeks, just take the break, right? But it takes longer than 2 weeks to get lots of business. Remember I said 150,000 in a year, okay? So usually in the first week, you're not going to get much. You're going to get some appointments. And the second week, you'll get more appointments and you'll get some of them done. And they probably won't buy from you the first time they meet you, just like they don't buy from me. I know I'm so abrasive. I say, don't be a quitter. I'm so rude. But I just have to tell you, the way to win at this, it's the long game, right? You got to come in and you got to meet people and they got to get to know, like, and trust you. And you got to go through the steps. Now, we do have the steps clearly laid out at CIBM, which is different than most networking organizations that just let you flounder about, try to figure it out. We'll actually lead you and guide you through, and we have a video portal that gives you more necessary knowledge so you can do it right and you can get going with it because it's profitable. Networking, I learned way back when I had my first company. I started making money. I'd have died without networking. Honest to God, I was so broke. And I just had to learn how to meet people and learn how to share what I had and win them and let them see the real me a little authentically. And there were a few that actually liked me, believe it or not. And they they would buy because they got to know, like, and trust me. And that just takes some time. So yes, take the dollar offer, but please come for the long term. Okay. Don't be that guy. Be the one who's like, yeah, I want a little bit of boost in the beginning. And I'd like to tell people I'm a member but I want to try this out. I want to do this for a while. And you want to assess it after 6 months and 1 year and 2 years, not after 5 minutes. Okay. Because this isn't instant rice. This is relationship building. And nobody's going to want to get married on the first date. Okay. It's not how this works. It just takes time.
Well, then, as an overall message too, if there is anyone possibly who is watching this who is not already networking, number one message is definitely start building those relationships. That's how you make your business grow. I want to thank you so much for being here today, Kerry, and sharing your wisdom. Like I said, I think it's so critical for business owners to not just be networking, but also to do it in a way that actually works, or they're just going to give up on it and say networking doesn't work for me. So thank you so much for being here.
Networking works. Work your nets.
Excellent. And we'll make sure that Kerry's contact info and that awesome offer are in the comment box for anyone who wants to capitalize on that. And thank you all so much. Have a great day.
Happy capitalism.